हेलो। हेलो। नहीं आ रहा। बस। अरे क्या कि हम
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Am I audible? If I'm audible, just raise your hand so that I can, so that I know. Okay, all right, all right. You can keep your hands down now. Okay. So first of all, before starting, let me congratulate you all for getting selected for this internship, free internship of. Okay, you can. Yeah. So congratulations for getting selected for this internship offered by Hackers for You, a 45-day penetration testing internship. Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Abhishek. I have 3 years experience as a penetration tester, and today I'll be taking this class of introductory class as an introduction for your 45-day course, internship course on penetration testing. All right, so today we'll just touch on surface level scratch information. All right, so even if you do not understand anything, that's completely okay. We are just going to have a quick touch on the surface level knowledge. All right, and towards the end of this course, you'll have a complete knowledge of what penetration testing involves, how to do it, and it will be really beneficial for a career in this sector. And believe me, I'm saying from experience, internships and these types of courses play a vital role in your resume when you go for a job, like a practical job, especially like a penetration tester or any cybersecurity analyst like that. Okay, so let me first share my screen so that you all can see. So I hope you all can see the screen, right? Just share, raise your hands so that I got to know. Okay, okay, understood. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so before proceeding further on getting to know what penetration testing is and how to do it, let us understand a scenario. Okay, most of you guys must be having a bank account. Okay, and your bank must have given you some kind of like an online portal where you can get to know about your details like account details, bank statement, salary details, and a lot more things like sending money to someone else and those type of things. Now, have you ever wondered where all of your information is stored? Like let's say, let me take someone, like say there is Madhuri. Madhuri is with us. So let's say Madhuri has a bank account, and the bank has given her online portal where she can log in with a login credential and a password. All of her information, like she has 15,000 in her bank accounts. Her name is Madhuri. Her address is this. Her account number is this. All of this information is stored somewhere. That somewhere is called database. All right. So all of her information is stored in that database, and she can access all those information. The database doesn't exist on a physical way. I mean, it's not a human, so it doesn't know when some user comes in and asks for information. It doesn't know that she is Madhuri or someone else. The database just asks a plain question. Okay, give me the login credential, your ID and password, and I'll show you the details. So Madhuri comes in, she gives her ID and password, and the database gives her the information. Like this is your account number, this much amount of money is in your bank account, and so on. This. But let's say the people who created the website or the online portal for that bank were lazy guys. who didn't put much effort into the architecture of building the whole web portal or the architecture of a database, and all sorts of things. And now there is a guy, someone else with malicious intent who wants to know all the details of Madhuri without having a login credential and password. He can what he can do is he can attack the database, and we'll talk about attacks later. We'll get to know about all the cyber attacks later into the course. But as of now, just understand that there are certain types of attacks which the certain individual can perform on a database or on a web server, a system, or a network. Okay, so let's say there is someone who's trying to access Madhuri's information without having the login credentials. What he'll do is he'll attack the server or the database, okay, with the certain attacks, and he'll gather the information about Madhuri. And not only Madhuri, he'll get the information. Once he get the access of the database, he'll get information of all the individuals who have a bank account on that particular bank. Okay, so that is an example of bad database design, bad network security, and all. So before moving further into the class, first let me tell you, we'll discuss about security. Okay, every system must be secured so that only individuals who have access to that information can access it, and none other than them can access that. So security is an integral part. And that is why we have introduced cybersecurity. That is why we learned cybersecurity. A whole new world of cybersecurity has been created because of this fundamental issue of security. But how do we know if a system is secure or not? How do we check it? Before I answer that, let me ask you another question. If I give you a wooden stick and I ask you check how strong this wooden stick is, what you will do? Think about it. What you will do if I give you a wooden stick and I ask you to check the strength of it, check if it is strong or a weak one. What you will do? Try to break it. Obviously, Gaurav, Gustavo, Shreya Patil, all of you guys are, yeah, great, great answers. What you'll try to do is you'll try to break it. In order to check how strong it is, you'll try to break it. And now let's say if I give you something to eat, something I just gave you, I ask you check how spicy this is. What you will do? You'll try to taste it, you'll try to eat it. Then only you can find out if it is spicy or bitter or whatever the taste is, right? In the same way, in order to check a system's security, what we do is attack. We attack the system completely, and that is how we get to know about how strong the system is. Okay, now how do you attack? When I say attack, I don't mean you bring out your weapons, your guns and your knives out. No, this is not a physical attack. Okay, all the information are in the web. You don't do a physical attack, you do a cyber attack, right? What kind of cyber attack? Well, as I told you earlier, you'll get to know about the cyber attacks later into the course. But as of now, just understand that there are certain types of techniques or tools you can use to perform certain attacks. Okay, so then only you can get to know how strong of a system is. How do you check the security? Well, you attack. All right. Okay. So now that you know that in order to check a system's security, you attack the system using cyber threats. And that is what penetration testing is. So penetration testing is controlled and authorized effort to assess the security of a computer system, network, or application by attempting to exploit vulnerabilities and weakness. Now, there are important keywords in this definition I want to point out. First of all, penetration testing, as I told you earlier, is a attack we do on a computer system or a network or an application, like in this case, the bank's website, right? So we can perform attack on a computer system or a network or even a web application like this bank's website. Why do we do it? We do it to attempt to exploit vulnerabilities and weakness. We wanted to know what are the vulnerabilities and weakness of this some computer system or network. Okay, and that is what penetration testing is. But make sure understand this. There's another keyword I've written here. It is called authorized effort, controlled and authorized effort. You cannot just wake up in the morning and start attacking all the websites you see on the Google website, on the Google search engine. You cannot do that. Like you went to Facebook and you started penetration testing. You started cyber attacking their website. And then once you get caught, you'll say, okay, I was trying to do it because I was learning. how to do it. No, you cannot do that. That's illegal. You may end up in jail. Penetration testing is a controlled and authorized effort. Once you will go to the websites or a system, computer systems admin, you'll ask their permission. Okay, I'm trying to exp- uh, find out the vulnerabilities and weakness in your system. Give me the permission to do so. Okay, the admin will okay assess, will see how good of a skill set you have, and how big is your team. The team is also necessary because it should be controlled. So you along with your peers will assess, you will get the authorization, and then only you can proceed further with the penetration testing steps. All right. So penetration testing is not just attacking someone, randomly. It is a controlled and authorized effort to assess the security of a computer system, network, or application by attempting to exploit vulnerabilities and weakness. Okay, so I hope you all are aware, you all are now clear with the definition of penetration testing. We are just attacking a system, but in a controlled and authorized way. Why are we attacking? Well, to explore the weakness and vulnerabilities of the system. Okay, it plays a significant role in cybersecurity. Make sure that. Okay, now what are the goals of pen testing or penetration testing? Penetration testing, by the way, it's also called pen testing in short. So why are we doing it in the first place? First, we want to identify the vulnerabilities in a system. We want to check how weak of a system is. What are the loopholes in a system? Okay, is the problem with the database or the front end or the back end? Where does the problem lie actually? From where can a person with malicious intent can enter into our portal? Okay, so first goal of pen testing is identifying a vulnerability. All right. The next step, the next step is assessing the impact. Now that you know that there is a vulnerability, in the first step you identify the vulnerability. The next step is assessing the impact. How big of a vulnerability it is? If it is a strong, it is dangerous to my system. Is it not that much dangerous? Why do we assess impact first of all? Well, because there can be multiple vulnerabilities in a system. So which do we solve first? How should I prioritize? This is how I prioritize those vulnerabilities. Okay, I'll assess the impact. How big of an impact does this vulnerability create? How big of an impact does this vulnerability create? And then I prioritize them. Okay, I'll solve this, then I'll solve this, and I'll solve this. This should be my first priority. This should be second. This should be third. So that is how I assess the impact. Third is providing the recommendations. So now that I've also prioritized all the vulnerabilities, the third step should be providing the recommendations to the company or to the system admin. Okay, so I'll go to the system admin and I'll say, okay, I have found out these vulnerabilities and this is the impact they can create. Now these are my recommendations. You can use these test cases and implement them so that your system can become more secure. All right, and the last step is testing defenses. The defense which you have recommended can also have some errors because after all we all are humans. We may uh, leave some things out. Okay, we may create some errors. That is why the recommendations we have given to the company or to the system admin should also be tested. Okay, those also should be tested. So these are the goals of pen testing. Identify the vulnerabilities, then check the impact they create. If they are strong, if they are weak, then prioritize them. The third will be providing recommendations on how to solve these. And the fourth will be testing the defenses. The defenses which we have recommended will be testing those as well. Okay, now let's talk about the types of pen testing. Okay, so there are basically three types of penetration testing. Okay, so the first is black box testing. We'll see what black box testing is. All right, so black box testing. In this case, the tester who is doing the test has no prior knowledge of or the information about the target system or application that is being tested. So let's say if I'm attacking a website and if I do not have no information, I am the tester. If I want to check a website and I have no information about that website, I mean, what is the IP address, what is the domain, and what are the employee informations of that website, all those sorts of information. If I do not have those informations, then it is called a black box testing because I'm just randomly doing things, attacking. I do not know the company's uh, domain. I do not have the company's IP addresses, and how is the how the database is created. I do not have access to source code. All of this information I do not have, and I'm just doing a plain attack. That's called black box testing. In the white box testing, it is a complete opposite. We have all the information provided by the company. Okay, so I have the source code of the system or the network. I have source code. I have architectural diagrams of how the database have been created. I have information of internal documentation. I have all the information, and then I proceed with the attacks. That is called white box testing. The third is gray box testing. In this, it's a mix of black and white. That is why it's named gray. In this case, I have limited knowledge. I do not have complete knowledge like in white box. I do not have zero knowledge like black box. I'm in the middle. I have limited knowledge about the company and about the network or system that I'm trying to do test on. Okay. So these are mainly primarily the three types of pen testing. Now let's talk about the phases of penetration testing. So there are certain steps of doing anything. For example, if you want to create a pizza, cook a pizza, there is a recipe. You first get the base, you create the base using the dough, then you put the pizza sauce, and then you put the toppings, and then you bake it. There are certain steps. That there's a recipe. In the same way, there is a recipe of doing the pen testing. It's called phases of pen testing. All right. So let's focus on the first step. That is called reconnaissance. Okay, I'll say that again. That's the first step of the phases of pen testing is called reconnaissance. What is reconnaissance? In the reconnaissance, the penetration tester gathers information about the target system, network, or application, whichever he is testing. This phase is also known as the information gathering phase. Okay, in this step, we gather information, a little bit of information about the network or system or application that we're trying to test. All right. Tester may collect names, domain names, IP address, email address, and employee information. Okay. Before attacking, before doing the test, we collect these basic informations like domain names of the system or the network or application, IP addresses, email addresses, and all those of things. All right. Now comes the second point, the second step. It is called scanning. The scanning phase involves actively probing the target to discover potential vulnerabilities and open ports. Okay, in this case, the tester seek to identify entry points that can be exploited. In the reconnaissance, in the first part, we collected basic information. In the scanning part, once we got to know about the system and network, we'll search for open ports. Open ports, or in other words, they are called entry points. I want to enter into that system. I want to exploit it. Before exploiting that system, I must enter it. How do I enter it? I scan. I scan, okay, from where can I enter? I'm speaking broadly here, okay? I'm just speaking broadly towards, and when you go into the course much deeper into the internship, you'll get to know about much deeper things. Okay, I'm just saying, speaking broadly here. You can think of phases of pen testing as a from a thief's perspective. Let's say there is a thief, he wants to break into a house. Okay, so there are steps of breaking into a house from a thief's perspective. First step he'll do is he'll collect basic information. Okay, how many people do live in this house? Okay, so there is one father, one mother, and one child. Okay, when does father leave the house? Okay, when does mother leave the house? When does the baby leave the house? This is called the searching part, information gathering part, and this is what called reconnaissance. Okay, the second step he'll do is he'll look out for opening entry points. Okay, so there is a front gate and there is a back gate. So he's scanning right now. The thief is scanning. Okay, so there are two entry points from where I can enter. So in the similar way, in the pen testing, the tester scans for the entry points from where he can enter. All right, then comes the gaining access. Third, what is the gaining access? Well, in this phase, the penetration tester attempt to exploit vulnerable identified during the scanning phase. So in the scanning phase, the tester looked out for entry points. All right. In the gaining access, he'll enter into those entry points. He'll choose one of the entry points and enter into the system. In the thief's case, the thief has now identified that, okay, the front gate and the back gate are both open and I can enter. So in the gaining access, he enters to the house. The fourth step is maintaining access. So let's say a tester entered into a system using an entry gate. but in the future he wants to enter the system again. But it may happen that in the future this entry gate gets closed. What do we do then? What he'll do is he'll create a safe door, so that in the future if this entry point gets closed, he can enter using the back door. All right. In the thief's case, let's say the thief entered the house. Now he has entered the house. The thief is thinking, okay, if I want to come here again in the future, and the front and back door are closed, what will I do? So what thief did was he created a window. There was a window which was closed always. He opened the window. He created a back door, so that in the future, if he wanted to come again, he can using this particular window. That is what tester do in the maintaining access. He is creating a back door so that he can come into the future. The second last step is called covering tracks. So the penetration tester attempts to hide their presence and activities within the target environment. So now that we have entered the house, we have entered the system, we have created a back door. The next step is covering the tracks. The system admin or the people or the organization uh, should not feel that I'm here. I must hide my presence and activities. Okay, I must be doing all sort of things, but I must hide my identity so that I do not get caught. The similar way the thief is doing. Thief is covering his tracks. He's closing all the doors the way they were before. He is putting all the clothes in the almirah the way they were before. He is closing the almirah door the way it was before. So he's covering all the tracks. That is how the penetration tester do. He covers all his tracks so that none can see that he was here, or none can identify that someone was here. The last is reporting, and the last step, reporting step. What the penetration tester does, he creates a documentation. He creates a documentation and writes down all the vulnerabilities he found, all the steps he found. Like he found in the thief's case, the thief found it. The front door was open. The back door was open. Okay. The second vulnerability he found was there was no security guard. Okay. The third vulnerability he may found was there no security system inside the house. There were no CCTV cameras. In the same way, penetration tester what does he creates a documentation. Like these were the vulnerabilities I found. Here the database design was lacking. You should be creating it more robust and secure. So he creates a documentation and then generates a report and send it to the system admin or the organization that this is what I found. These are the vulnerabilities. So these are the phases of pen testing: reconnaissance, search for information, okay, scanning, search for entry points, how he can enter, gaining access is entering using the entry points, maintaining access is creating a backdoor so that he can come in again in the future. Second last step is covering tracks, hiding their identity so that none can see that someone is here. The last step is reporting. Everything is done, just create a report documentation that these are the vulnerabilities I found, and this is how you can cure them. Okay, these are my recommendations. Okay, now how to perform penetration testing. Well, we have thus far understood what penetration testing is, what are the steps, what are the phases involved in it. Now let's talk about how to perform penetration testing. Before performing the penetration testing, you should define scope and goals. Like, why are you doing it? What are the goals? Are you do you want to what are your objectives actually? What are you trying to achieve with the test? Are you focusing on specific vulnerabilities, or are you checking overall security of the organization or the system? So there can be specific security issues, or there can be a whole security checkup. So what do you want to achieve here? You must define that, your scope or goals. All right. Second is ethical consideration. As I told you before, you cannot just wake up in the morning and start attacking different organization and the systems. Okay, you must first get the authorization to do so. So here, before performing any pen testing or penetration testing, you should get the authorization. This is called ethical consideration, and that is why this whole part is of penetration testing is called ethical hacking. We are doing hacking, but ethically, by getting the permission and doing everything. It's not unethical. All right, ethical hacking, so that in the future we do not end up in jail. All right, because it's illegal. Unethical hacking is illegal. You may end up in jail. It's a cyber crime. All right, so you have defined your scope. You have gathered the authorization from the system or the organization. The third step is using the tools and techniques. All right, there are a number of tools in the market available for penetration testing. What these are called vulnerabilities tools. What they do is they do a complete checkup of the system or the organization's web portal, and they find out the vulnerability issues. So you don't have to manually do it every time. The tools do it for you. All right. The next step is vulnerability assessment. Now that you have using the tools, now you have identified the vulnerability, you will assess the vulnerability. Like how do you do that? Sorry, may I get a 10-second break? All right, so where was I? Vulnerability assessment. Okay, so in this step what you do is you start with reconnaissance and information gathering. Okay, in the vulnerability assessment you do is information gathering. You have identified the vulnerabilities, now you assess them. The next step is exploiting vulnerabilities. You have gathered all the information, you know what are the vulnerabilities. What you do now is you exploit them. You check how big of an impact they create, you exploit them. All right, you find those entry points, you enter into the system, you exploit the system in an ethical way. All right, we are doing all of this in an ethical way. So we'll be exploiting the vulnerabilities, and then lastly, what we'll do is again we'll create a report, a documentation. Like this was my goal, this was my scope. I did a complete overall security checkup on the system, and you had given me the permission to do so. These are the tools I used. I found out these vulnerabilities. These are the impacts that they can create, and I some of the vulnerabilities I exploited them, and this is what I found. Okay, I have information about your database and all sorts of your personal, your employees personal information. This is how an attacker can exploit you, and this is the report. The report also will also contain recommendation on how you can cure all the vulnerabilities. All right, let's talk about AI and cloud in penetration testing. We have understood what penetration testing is, what are the phases, and how do you perform penetration testing. Now, you must be thinking that this guy has said how to perform penetration testing is, but I still don't know how to do it. Because well, in that case, I just told you basic scratch, surface level knowledge. Okay, this is the general information. You will be doing the penetration testing, practical, hands on experience along this course, all right, along this 45-day journey. So keep attending all the classes and maintain 100% attendance, because this can change your career. All right, so you'll be having a hands-on experience, a practical experience here. Today it will be a general class. So let's talk about artificial intelligence and cloud in penetration testing. Most of you guys have heard artificial intelligence and machine learning. It has been a boon since months, like since November, I guess, from last year when ChatGPT launched. It brought a revolution in the industry. Everyone is talking about AI and machine learning. Well, AI is also in penetration testing. It has been started using in the penetration testing. So it can be a challenge, it can also be a benefit. How is it being used? Well, AI provides automated vulnerability scanning. Okay, so you remember I talked about tools in the step of performing the penetration testing. In the tools case, we can use AI. What AI does is it provides automated vulnerability scanning. All right, it automatically checks for vulnerability issue in a system and uses the historical data to further strengthify its automatic vulnerability scanning. Understand, it can use historical data, like okay, this time I got to know about this attack. It can also be performed on this system, so let me check it also. So the artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms together, they provide us tools which can identify vulnerabilities in a system. All right, The second thing is cloud. Cloud is also being used in the penetration testing. How clouds is being used? Well, cloud provides scalability and resource availability. Let's say I have a laptop in my home and I'm performing a penetration testing on a system or on a network. So I only have a single laptop here, right? So I can only perform a single attack from here. But what if I had multiple computers, multiple number of laptops or systems? Wouldn't it be beneficial for me? Well, it will be. That is what cloud does. Cloud provides virtual machines. So in a cloud server, I can create a number of virtual machines acting as a different systems. And from all those systems, I can perform penetration testing. All right. So cloud provides scalability and resource availability. But there are challenges in using cloud-based pen testing, and we'll talk about that. What are the challenges? Okay. So the challenge for the first challenge is data privacy. All of the information about penetration testing we are doing will be stored in cloud, and since the information is being stored in the cloud, someone else can also access that by breaching the cloud. All right. So there is a security issue with the cloud also. All right. The second is latency, the network latency. There is always a gap. There is always a latency when you try to gather information from the cloud, obviously because of network. The third is cost management. You have to consider cost also while doing the assessment, while doing the vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, because cloud actually is not that cheap to, you know, it's not that structurally cheap. But there are benefits of cloud-based testing too. There is efficiency and speed. As I told you earlier, you can scale your production in a number of by using a number of virtual machines. Okay, you can perform a lot of penetration testing attacks from these number of virtual machines. So it provides great scalability and efficiency and speed. Last point is collaboration. You can collaborate with a number of individuals, number of your ethical hackers in your team. You can collaborate with your whole team while working on a cloud-based testing. Right now, if I have this system, I'm performing penetration testing using my laptop. Only I can access this laptop right now. But what if my teammate also wants to collaborate with me? Well, in that case, I can use cloud-based penetration testing. All right, in the cloud-based, all of my team members can access those information and perform certain attacks and tests. So this was the brief introduction about the penetration testing, and you can proceed. You can go for a career in penetration testing too. Also, well, let me tell you, there's a high demand for cybersecurity professionals anyway in the sector. You may all be seeing that all of the application, the software world is going back now. All of the applications you have in a system are now in the web portal, in the web application form. For example, right now I'm using this PowerPoint. It's not in my system. I'm actually using the PowerPoint of the web application, the web application version of PowerPoint. All of the applications we had earlier, the traditional softwares we had, have now been transported to the online world, to the web application world. All right, like this Google Meet, like this PowerPoint I'm using, the web application. So a lot of things are now, not a lot, but most of the things are now online. So, and that is why the number of cyber attacks have also increased over the years. And eventually, high demand, there's a high demand for cybersecurity professionals. All right, the salary range can exceed a lot. Let me tell you, the entry level penetration tester, just the entry level, receives around $60,000 to $90,000 per year. I'm not talking about rupees; it's dollars. $60,000 to $90,000 per year, and that is just entry level penetration tester. So there is high demand for penetration testers, especially entry level and all those candidates, and the salary ranges just blows people's mind. And that's not only in India, but in all the countries across the world. Everyone is moving globally. All right, so the salary is sky is the limit for salary. But how do an organization assess you? That how, let's say I'm a recruiter. How do I know that you are certified? You have certain skills to be a penetration tester or not? How do I access? I won't ask you to, okay, Madhuri, if you want to become, if you want to get into a you want a job of penetration tester at my organization. Okay, just go and attack my organization, attack the whole database. breach a data breach all the information I have. No, I won't ask you to do that. Okay, it's not a traditional job. Let's say I was recruiting for a Python developer once, and what I had to do was I just simply asked him, okay, show me your projects, show me, create a project like this, make a website, or do bring a calculator. I can ask him to make projects, but as a penetration tester I cannot ask you to simply, okay, attack my organization, attack my website. I cannot ask you to do that, right? That won't be a good idea. In that case, we have certifications to actually check whether you are skilled or not as a penetration tester. Okay, so there's a certificate of certified ethical hacker, there's certificate of certified penetration tester CPET by EC Council organization, and then there is a certified information system security professional. You can look for those certifications online and get them. All right. So there are a number of certifications recognized by different organizations which show that you are skilled in penetration testing. And as I told you in the beginning of the lecture, that the role of internship also plays a vital role in your career as a penetration tester. Because as you know, you cannot showcase a lot of your projects as a penetration tester. You can only show your experience. And that is why this internship or 45-day internship offered by Hacker for You will be really beneficial for your career in penetration tester. It will stand out on a resume. All right. So make sure you attend all the classes, and alongside, when you complete this, make sure you also get one of those certificates as of penetration tester, as I talked about earlier, like these certificates, and then you can have a good career in this field. So that was it from my side, everybody. I hope you understood and, more importantly, enjoyed the lecture. And even if you didn't understand certain aspects, don't worry. This along this course, you'll get deep knowledge about everything, and so you don't need to worry about anything right now. All right. So I guess that was it. Thank you everyone for attending this class. We'll be soon joining in the future. Okay. So thank you everyone. Vandana Rajput, thank you. Gustavo, thank you. Kindly mark your attendance. Yes. Smith Rami, thank you. See you soon, Gustavo. Can you share the PPT? Okay, I can share the PPT if you want. Let me see. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll share the PPT in the WhatsApp group you guys have created. All right. Yeah, Bhaskaran, I'll share the PPT with you. Thank you. Thank you, Mohan. How to mark attendance? I'll just drop in a message and we'll mark the attendance. My name's Abhishek Devansh. Yeah, just mark in present and we'll assess all of your attendance. Just drop a present in the message box. That will be enough. Everyone, kindly mark your attendance. I have shared a Google form link in the chat. Just go to the form and mark your attendance. Okay, thank you.